Akamalem nganba namri ngasisu nahana ina hajarambodo dumaina mayamgidamakta The Richest Man in Babylon hariba larik adugi ani suwa tangkak ngasi asengbagidi haujagadorize A Historical Sketch of Babylon haibane Historical Sketch of Babylon jida nainagadorize karino harakanse Babylon je karamba mafamda leirambano karamba city karamba jagada leirambano magi mafamsida kari toramba haiba mayamduni ahanba contents da nainagadorize So let us carry on A Historical Sketch of Babylon sigi matangsida mayam taminarase paminarase aduga paminaraba taminaraba matungsida mayamna remark macha matang pibiramo aina tawjaribase ai yam haibagi ai tawjabana sade mayamda ai thanda pajarasu yai tumina adu aina parakanda fangadawa knowledge to mayamda pulap khangminasi mayamga pulap share tawminasi haiduna aina pathokjabane semjabane video se adu mayamdagi feedback kari tohaningba tohaningdaba asina singba mayamdu mayamdagi feedback macha amamamtang pibiramo video se yengbiba tabiba yauragadi so let us carry on A Historical Sketch of Babylon Babylon gi puwari matek khara karamaina iramba karamaina yeklamba haibada yengminase In the pages of history there lives no city more glamorous than Babylon puwari gi sena kaya marum masida Babylon dagi hena yamna langba yamna fazaba yamna matik mayai sienba city amata leikidriyeba Its very name conjures visions of wealth and splendor maming sina adum haijareba Lantumgi ladagi lustergi haibadi arang arak mayamgi pumnamakki mafam oirami haibasa adum haijareba Babylon haidi kaino harakansta mafam haibane karama mafam lantum yamna leiba yamna fazaba aduguma mafam ama haibane Babylon gi asengba meaning se Its treasures of gold and jewels were fabulous magi lantum mayam sana lupa aduma mayam sa pallingkai loiba naide yam marang kaina lerame One naturally pictures such a wealthy city is located in a suitable setting of tropical luxury surrounded by rich natural resources of forests and mines. Kanagumba amana mahogsana ne miyengsida yengamba yai asuk yamna inakhulaba sahara se aduguma mafam amada leiramgani haina karamaina toba mafam luxury na pikthalaba adagidi inakhulaba mahogsagi oiba resources mayam ama forest mayam ama mine mayam ama haibadi khani thokpa mayam ama na pikthana leiramgadaba mafam amani haina mayamna khanbiramba yai Such was not the case. Adugumba poto oikideba adugumba mafamdo natkideba Babylon se. It was located besides the Euphrates River in a flat and arid valley. Hariba Babylon hariba mafam ase kadaida lerama mafam oigi harakansida Euphrates River hariba turel ase masigi mapanda arid valley haibadi akangba valley tampak ama oina yam pak sana sanduoga lerama mafam amaneba. It had no forests, no mines, not even stones for building. Mafam asida forest su leiramde kol karkhana amata su leiramde di khani lokthokpa yaba mafam amata su leiramde umang mafam su umang wamang su leiramde building sanana bagi nung su amata leiramde It was not even located upon a natural trade route aduga ne Babylon hariba mafam ase natural trade route mahausa gi oiba laloni tik tawnana bagi lambi de leiramba mafam amasu natte The rainfall was insufficient to raise crops aduga hariba mafam asida tariba nong sisu marang kai deba mana masing thaba mahi marong thaba yaba mafam natte Babylon is an outstanding example of man's ability to achieve great objectives using whatever means are at his disposal. Adamai tora kansa Babylon hariba mafam ase panmanba thoklaroi aduguma mafam amane karamaina tawbagi miyoiba sina magi ability magi tawba ngambagi sangsa arai pithak to hotnara kansida achouba panthum kaya marum ama phangkiba aduguma mafam amane Babylon hariba mafam ase all of the resources supporting this large city were man developed hariba mafam ase sisi support tawkiba hariba mafam ase saugatkiba pothok pumnamak se mina semba pothok ngakta oikiba all of its riches were man made aduga mafam ase leiramiba paisa paiba mi pumnamaksu man made miyoibana semba masana hotnajaraga masana oijagiba ngakta oikiba Babylon possessed just two natural resources a fertile soil and water in the river adubune Babylon gina mahogsagi oiba pothok ani khaktang di leijaki kari no laikhiba se hara kansida a fertile soil lebak lehau fazana faba ama aduga magi nakanda seliba river Euphrates river da seliba isingsiga si ani sineba magi mahogsagi pothok hairagadi with one of the greatest engineering accomplishment of this or any other day Babylon engineers diverted the waters from the river by means of dams and immense irrigation canals adamai tora kansida Euphrates river da cheliba turel da cheliba ising mayam sing sa Babylon da leramba engineer mayam sing sina canal seasonara kansida irrigation system seasonara kansida dam seasonara kansida ngasagi lebak lehau faraba mafam asida thajan ki ising marang kaina leire lebak lehau fare ising hingdo mafam sana moigi du da nong tajada taraga su nakan da cheliba turel du dagi ising sa dam semaga irrigation system semaga ithai lokong phajana semaga thajal ki far out across the far out across the arid valley when these canals to pour the life giving waters over the fertile soil adamai tawra kansida hariba ikang kang ba valley sida ngasai gi dam mayam canal mayam je sijina kansida punsi pigadaba ising mayam sa lebak lehau mayam sing sida chensilaki. This ranks among the first engineering feats known to history. Hariba sinana engineering gi lamda miyoibagi savyata da miyoibagi puwari sida khwaidagi ihan hanba engineer na tawba thabak ama oikiba. Such abundant crops as were the reward of this irrigation system the world had never seen before. Hariba abundant crops hariba dumaina irrigation system semaga ithai lokong phajana semaga lebak lehau phajana pharaba mafam aduda thajan khibagi mana oina kari phangkhige haira kansida ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯥꯂꯦꯝ ꯑꯁꯤꯗ ꯃꯃꯥꯡꯗ ꯑꯃꯨꯛꯇ ꯎꯈꯤꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯕ ꯑꯃꯨꯛꯇ ꯐꯥꯎ ꯐꯪꯈꯤꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯕ ꯃꯍꯩ ꯃꯔꯣꯡ ꯄꯨꯊꯣꯛꯄ ꯉꯝꯕꯒꯤ ꯆꯥꯡꯁꯦ ꯃꯅꯥ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯐꯪꯈꯤꯕ. Fortunately, during its long existence, Babylon was ruled by successive lines of kings to whom conquest and plunder were not but incidental. ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯅꯦ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯂꯥꯏꯕꯛ ꯐꯕ ꯑꯃꯅ ꯀꯔꯤꯅꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗꯅꯦ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯀꯨꯏꯅ ꯃꯥꯅ ꯄꯥꯜꯂꯝꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯁꯤꯗ ꯃꯐꯝ ꯑꯁꯤꯗ ꯄꯥꯟꯈ꯭ꯔꯤꯕ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯧ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯅꯅꯦ ꯀꯩꯗꯧꯔꯕ incidental haibadi mina lokshan balak pakot pa keke tawbu mayam sing se yam tang na thoki yam toina thokide. While it engaged in many wars, most of these were local or defensive against ambitious conquerors from other countries who coveted the fabulous treasures of Babylon. Adugane mana ne kedoraba lan mayam amadi thengna ki ayambana moigi local marakta thokna bangaktani haibadi moigi lebak manungda thokpa lan ngaktani natragana ne mi atopana ꯂꯥꯟꯗꯥꯔꯛꯄꯗ ꯉꯥꯛꯊꯣꯛꯄ ꯉꯥꯛꯇ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯇꯧꯈꯤꯕ ꯂꯥꯟ ꯉꯥꯛꯇꯅꯦꯕ. ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯤꯕ ꯃꯐꯝꯁꯤꯗ ꯄꯥꯟꯈꯤꯕ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯧꯁꯤꯡꯁꯦ ꯂꯥꯟ ꯄꯥꯝꯈꯤꯗꯕ ꯃꯤꯒꯤ ꯂꯩꯕꯥꯛꯇ ꯆꯠꯂꯒ ꯂꯝ ꯂꯧꯁꯟꯒꯦ ꯈꯟꯈꯤꯗꯕ ꯃꯤꯒꯤ ꯂꯩꯕꯥꯛꯇ ꯂꯥꯟ ꯇꯥꯒꯦ ꯈꯟꯈꯤꯕ ꯅꯤꯡꯊꯧ ꯑꯃꯠꯇ ꯑꯣꯏꯈꯤꯗꯦ ꯁꯤꯅꯦꯕ ꯍꯥꯏꯅꯤꯡꯉꯤꯁꯦ. ꯑꯗꯒꯤꯗꯤ ꯂꯥꯛꯏꯕ ꯂꯩꯕꯥꯛꯁꯤꯗ ꯂꯥꯟ ꯇꯥꯔꯛꯏꯕ ꯀꯥꯡꯕꯨꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯁꯨ ꯀꯔꯤꯅꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯕꯦꯕꯤꯂꯣꯟꯒꯤ ꯂꯟ ꯊꯨꯝ ꯄꯥꯏꯕ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯃꯔꯥꯡ ꯃꯆꯥꯛ ꯃꯊꯨꯝ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯂꯩꯕꯗꯣ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯀꯜꯂꯛꯄꯗꯒꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯁꯤꯡꯗꯣ ꯐꯪꯅꯅꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯁꯤꯡꯗꯣ ꯂꯧꯔꯒꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯨꯅ ꯂꯥꯟ ꯇꯥꯔꯛꯈꯤꯕ ꯉꯥꯛꯇ ꯑꯣꯏꯈꯤ. The outstanding rulers of Babylon live in history because of their wisdom, enterprise, and justice. Adumaina tawrakansida Babylon da palam liva adugumlaba matik magun leiraba mathona leiraba ningthau mayam singse puwari da mayek lana iraga leiri. Karigi damakta makoigi loksengi damakta makoina land adagi business ki lamda anauba lambi kya marum ama puthokpa ngamba adugumba mayamgi maramda adagi justice achumba thabak tawbagi damakta achumbagi damak lepagi damakta Babylon produced no strutting monarchs who sought to conquer the known world that all nations might pay homage to their egotism. Babylon ne adugumba mangak haigalaga chatkadaba ningthau amata puthokide napal tawraga aidi atopa lebak loksalabane aidi atopa lebak sin namtharabane aigi makhada thammabane aingonda koknon gadabani haiba adugumba ningthau amata mafamsida pokideba yamna nolokpa yamna polite oiba adugumba ningthau ngakta oiki. As a city, Babylon exists no more. Adubune sahar ama oinadi Babylon laitre. When those energizing human forces that build and maintain the city for thousands of years were withdrawn, it soon became a deserted ruin. When those energizing human forces energizing adugum laba matik mathauna leiraba sakti leiraba adigi mapang kalaba human force mayam singduna saramba adigi khotlama mayam singdo city duna maintain toraga leirama mayam singdo thousands of years ahi lising kya lokthokiba matam sida hariba mafam ase kanamta leitraba loinamak ningkhairaba haibadu oiki miyoibana hotnaring khai mai pai honadraba matamda loinamak kinthai haibaduni honaraktraba kemta toroktraba matamda loina kinthakre. The site of the city is in Asia, about 600 miles east of the Suez Canal, just north of the Persian Gulf. Hariba cities hojik su leiriba Asia da. Karamba mafamda leige hairakansta 600 miles lom chatlaga Suez Canal dagi Islam da just north of the Pacific Persian Gulf Persian Gulf kina pats awang thagmana kanda adamain tawrakansta lei. The latitude is about 30 degrees above the equator, practically the same as that of Yuma, Arizona. Hariba mafam sigi latitude china 30 degree above the equator gi matakta 30 degree kakatlaga leiba aduguma mafam amu oi practically the same as that of Yuma Arizona hariba mafam sigane adum manare. It possesses a climate similar to that of this American city, hot and dry. Hariba mafam sida adugumba America gi city hariba Yuma Arizona hariba America gi city sa ꯁꯤꯁꯤꯅ ꯄꯣꯖꯦꯁ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯀ꯭ꯂꯥꯏꯃꯦꯠ ꯃꯈꯜ ꯑꯗꯣ ꯕꯦꯕꯤꯂꯣꯟ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯤꯕ ꯃꯐꯝ ꯑꯁꯤꯗꯁꯨ ꯂꯩ ꯀꯔꯤ ꯍꯣꯠ ꯑꯦꯟ ꯗ꯭ꯔꯥꯏ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯁꯥꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯀꯪꯀꯪ ꯂꯥꯎꯕ ꯇꯨꯗꯦ ꯌꯨꯃꯥ ꯑꯔꯤꯖꯣꯅꯥꯒ ꯃꯥꯟꯅꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯋꯥꯅꯤ ꯌꯨꯃꯥ ꯑꯔꯤꯖꯣꯅꯥꯗ ꯂꯩꯕ ꯃꯐꯝꯗꯤ ꯅꯠꯇꯦ ꯂꯦꯇꯤꯆꯨꯠ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯗꯤ ꯂꯩꯔꯤꯕ ꯂꯦꯇꯤꯆꯨꯠꯇꯨ ꯗꯤꯒ꯭ꯔꯤꯗꯨ ꯃꯥꯟꯅꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯂꯣꯡꯒꯤꯆꯨꯠꯇ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯑꯣꯜꯂꯛꯑꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯑꯦꯛꯖꯦꯛ ꯄꯣꯖꯤꯁꯟꯗꯨ ꯇꯥꯔꯛꯀꯗꯕꯅꯤ Today, this valley of the Euphrates, once populous, irrigated farming district, is again a wind-swept, arid waste. Ngasidi, Turel, Euphrates Turelgi nakanda leiba, yam pak salaba, adugumba tampak ase, yam mi marang kaina leiramba, adagidi, ising marang kaina fangamba, idahilakong marang kaina fangamba, farming phajana tauramba district se ngasidi amuka sukari oire, kanggang lauba, nungsitna haina humna sitpa, adugumba west oiraba habadi langthoba mafam habado amu oire. Scan grass and desert shrubs strives for existence against the wind-blown sands. Kainoda hauba desert ta hauba napisingna mayamsingse akanba nungsit maraktuda akan asaba maraktuda moise hingnanabagidamagta lanthengnare. Gone are the fertile fields, the mammoth cities and the long caravans of rich merchandise. Gone are the fertile fields. Lan edi yamna pharamba soil mayamsing haibadi lebak lehau pharamba mayamsing to loinamak satkre amata leitre. Adagidi langthoamaba abandon oiraba city mayam ama leire. Adagidi merchandise haidi light lanthum paiba ꯀꯔꯕꯥꯔ ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯕ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯡꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯑꯁꯥꯡꯕ ꯒꯥꯔꯤ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯗꯣ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯨꯝꯕ ꯂꯪꯊꯣꯛꯑꯝꯕꯁꯤꯡꯗꯨꯅ ꯋꯥꯏ ꯆꯥꯏꯔꯦ nomadic bands of Arabs securing its can living by tending small herds are the only heavy inhabitants adubu hojikti mafam asida leiribase nomadic bands of Arab kangbu koisa chatlaga leiba kaidoraga leiba moigi herd khara moigi yaw khara sela kansida leijaba mafam do haibado oireba hojikti Thus, it has been since about the beginning of the Christian era. Hariba mongse sumaina leire ise karama mapal matamdagi leirage hairakanchida Christian era hauropa matamdagi sumaina oirakre sini. Dotting this valley are Arden Hills. Hariba mafamsida leiba sing mayam singse leibaki sing mayam ama lei. For centuries they were considered by travelers to be nothing else adubune hariba mafamsida leiba sing mayam se traveler mayam singsta kari mata oiramoi singni paikhatlaga leiba ngaktani haina khallaga leirame. The attention of archaeologists were finally attracted to them because of broken pieces of pottery and brick washed down by the occasional rainstorms. Adubune hariba paikhatlaga leiriba sing mayam do adugi marumdudadi Babylon city gi thainagi chawkhatlambagi nung leibak mayam adagidi pottery adagidi sapu kai mayam adu mayam jing to loinamak leiramibane adu mayam jing to marak taba nonglei nungsina puthara akansida traveler mayam archaeologists mayam jing sigi pukning se singsalei expeditions financed by European and American museums were sent here to excavate and see what could be found. Adudagidi expedition mayam ama thare kanana paisa putho kansida Europea gi America gi museum mayam singsina paisa je finance tor kansida mafam sida kadori leiri kari tauri haibadu khangna bagi damakta leibak se tauraga thina ba adagi adugum mi mayam ama mathang thare picks these hills to be ancient cities adagidi leibak tongna ba mayam duna ne ikui hariba singse ancient thainagi city ni haibase proof tore city grapes they might well be called city gi grapes haibadi sahar gi kai haitare grape haitare mangpham sahar mangpham ni haibase sahar gi mangpham ni haibase kouba yare Babylon was one of these Babylon sa aduguma mafam mane mayam gi marakta aduguma mayam gi marakta over it was something like 20 centuries the winds had scattered the desert dust over it for something like 20 centuries sahi 20 century muksa dust winds in a desert dust mayam singcha haina humna haidu kan sa sai thu kan sa adumaina leire built originally of brick all exposed walls had disintegrated and gone back to earth once more aduga hari mafamsida brick na saramba sek na saramba wall mayam adagidi exposed tobodagidi loina tharaba adagidi leibak ta amu hana takraba aduguma mafam habadi loina makintharaba kaitharaba habad oire such is Babylon the wealthy city today adugune adugumba the wealthy city do ngasidi loina mak kaitharaba ningkhairaba habado oire Babylon hariba city se a heap of dirt so long abandoned that no living person even knew its name until it was discovered by carefully removing the refuse of centuries from the streets and the fallen wreckage of its noble temples and places. A heap of dirt, a long abandoned that no living person even knew that. Hariba mafam asa a heap of dirt fataba hauti mayam paipam oire fataba mayam gi paikat pa mafam oira kansida kanamata na hundu omaba city ni haiba se kanamata na khangdre hariba mafam sida tapna lawtho kansida sijan hunjam ꯇꯧꯔꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯂꯝꯕꯤ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯗꯒꯤꯗꯤ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯇꯦꯝꯄꯜ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯄꯦꯂꯦꯁ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯡꯗꯣ ꯃꯊꯪ ꯐꯪꯉꯛꯑꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯈꯪꯉꯛꯄꯅꯦꯕ ꯃꯥꯁꯦ ꯁꯤꯇꯤ ꯑꯃ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯝꯃꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯦ. Many scientists consider the civilization of Babylon and other cities in this valley to be the oldest of which there is a definite record. Scientists mayam amana adai khanai Babylon gi civilization Babylon na chawkhalakpase magi city mayam valley du da leiramiba valley se city se Babylon city sina ade Babylon valley sina khwaidagi liraba civilization ama oirami habase scientists mayam na hai kari maramdagi harino harakan sidane definite record leira kan sida haibani. Positive dates have been proved reaching back 8,000 years. Adagidi asengba positive oiba dates is proof tawreba 8,000 years muk chala kan sida leiramba adugumba city amani haibase. An interesting fact in this connection is the means used to determine these dates. Aduga hariba sigi matang sida yamna interesting oiba yamna ngakningai oiba yamna pukning da langtakna ba haitari yamna haitari yam hainaning yam apamba pokpa achumba amasu yawriba sigi matang sida. Habadi mogi date singje karamaina lepino habagi matang sida. Uncovered in the ruins of Babylon were descriptions of an eclipse of the sun. Hariba kaitharaba kintharaba Babylon gi mayam maraksida description nama habadi iraga yega thaname numitsigi eclipse amagi maramda. Modern astronomers readily compare the time when such an eclipse visible in Babylon occurred and thus establish a non-relationship between their calendar and our own. Adamai tora kansida hojiki astronomer modern gi astronomer mayam singsida adugum laba numit ki eclipse to karamba matamda Babylon da uge habase kupna hola kansida moigi calendar duga akoi gi calendar siga sasenaraga yenga kansida Babylon cha chahi lising nipan gi mamangda gi leirama ba adugum city yamani habase proof tawre. In this way, we have proved that 8,000 years ago, the Sumerites who inhabited Babylonia were living in the walled cities. Adumain tawrakansida sahi lising nipan gi mamangda the Sumerites Babylon hariba mafamsida Sumerites mayam sa hingaga leirami haibase wall na koisalaba city gi magi manungda hingaga leirami haibase praman pi. One can only conjecture for how many centuries previous such cities had existed. Mi ako amana khanwa matamda guess tawba matamda sahi lising kya gi mamangda leiramani habado akoi amtang guess tawga yengse kamai leiramgani guess tawba ngamamgani. Their inhabitants were not mere barbarians living within protecting walls. Aduga mafamduda hingamiba mi mayam singdu kay hatare barbarian uncivilized oiba mi khaktang nati protecting walls ki manungda hingaga leiba. They were an educated and enlightened people. Moi mayam sing se lairik laisu ning thina hairaba adagi gyan loksing ning thina leiraba mi ngaktani mafamduda hingaga leiramise. So far as written history goes, they were the first engineers, the first astronomers, the first mathematicians, the first financiers, and the first people to have a written language. Adumai tawrakansida history is na dumne iraga sum satkibagi matungina ne mafamduda leiramaba mi singse khwaidagi ihan hanba engineer ngaktane khwaidagi ihan hanba astronomer ngaktane khwaidagi hanba mathematician ngatane khwaidagi hanba financier ngatane sel thumgi maramda khangaba adugumba mi ngaktane aduga written language ama khwaidagi hanana leiramba kambudusu moina oirami habase khangib. Mention has already been made of the irrigation systems which transformed the arid valley into an agricultural paradise. The remains of these canals can still be traced, although they are mostly filled with accumulated sand. Mention has already been made. Akoine mamangda ngahaktangi mamangda pangre mafamsida leiramiba ithai lokongi system se yam phajana ithai lokongi system sina ikangkangba valley se tampak se ontho kansida agriculture gi paradise habadi labuk ki paradise ama ohenkiba labuk lamhangtana thalaba adugumlaba sarga ama ohenkiba mafamne karina ithai lokongna. Likewise akoi Manipur dasu loktak pa na chauna lei ithai lokong mayam sema kansida Sili turil mayam sili ithai lokong phajana sema kansida akoi su paradise mayam ama semba yai, but who knows khangde amain tora kansida semgiba mafam amani Babylon se. The remains of these canals can still be traced, although they are mostly filled with accumulated sand. Hariba canal mayam irrigation semambagi canal mayam jingja hoje koina thiraba su adum phange adubu ayambana di hoje sand mayam ama leingoi mayam na pik thanjale. Some of them were of such size that when empty of water, a dozen horses could be ridden abreast along their bottoms. When some of them were of such size, yam sawe. Hariba mafamsida isingje empty ora kansida horse dozen ama thawrasu changane dozen of horses, a dozen horses. Haidi horse lising trying to horse trying to padana pa sawe adudi mayam ja kadoroba thawrasu changadaba adugumba canal ni bu moina semamise. In size they compare favorably with the largest canals in Colorado and Utah. Aduga moigi size da compare torok matamsida hariba mafamsida leiramiba canal se Colorado amasung Utah da leiriba canal sing se compare tawrasu yai. In addition to irrigation, The Valley Lands Babylonian engineers completed another project of similar magnitude. In addition to irrigation, the Valley Lands irrigation ki Babylonian ki engineer mayam sing sin atopa project amasu yam pak sanna yam pak wangna complete torame. By means of an elaborate drainage system, they reclaim an immense area of swampland at the mouth of the Euphrates and Tigris River and put this also under cultivation. Moina toromi base kaino hara kan the elaborate drainage system phajana drainage system sa ithai lokong haidi ising je sien gi nabu khot ki nabu phajana sema matung sida moina ne yam chot lawo mafam ama kadai da leiba Euphrates River ga Tigris River anigi haurok fam anigi tabham moi anigi tabham turial tabham manak ta leiba chot lauraga leiba mafam ase sida ising je phajana sian thu an khra kan sida ꯃꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯏꯊꯩ ꯂꯧꯈꯣꯡꯁꯦ ꯐꯖꯅ ꯅꯥꯟꯅ ꯁꯦꯝꯃ ꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯆꯣꯠ ꯂꯥꯎꯕ ꯃꯐꯝꯁꯦ ꯈꯔ ꯀꯪꯍꯟꯕ ꯃꯐꯝ ꯑꯣꯜꯍꯜꯂ ꯀꯥꯟꯁꯤꯗ ꯃꯣꯏꯅ ꯐꯖꯅ ꯃꯅꯥ ꯃꯁꯤꯡ ꯃꯍꯩ ꯃꯔꯣꯡ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯃ ꯊꯥꯔꯝꯃꯦꯕ ꯀꯜꯇꯤꯚꯦꯁꯟ ꯐꯖꯅ ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯃꯦꯕ. Herodotus, the Greek traveler and historian, visited Babylon while it was in its prime and has given us the only known description by an outsider. Herodotus hariba Greek traveler apaw historian amasu oiriba misak asina Babylon sida satkiyeba. Babylon sina phajana chawkhatlaga leiringai matam asida adugane mana akoida pirambase outsider amana Babylon gi maramda iramba pirambase ma khaktangdani. His writings give a graphic description of the city and some of the unusual customs of its people. Magi writing the mana irami budu the palle city sida leigadaba mong matu karamaina leirami haiba adagidi mafam sida leirama mi sing sina satnarami ba satna pathap ke se kamaina toromge haiba the magi writing sida palle. He mentions the remarkable fertility of the soil and the bountiful harvest of wheat and barley which they produce. Adumana palambada leibak lehause ningthina phajana phabajima palame aduga wheat ka barley ga wheat hai taragadi gehu barley hai taragana sanal akoina haina bodu si sing chaning thina marang kaina yam paksana puthu omi haibasa mahakna palame sumaina torakan sida asigi di si baktang pajage mathangida mu yam paminase. Sumain torakan sida Babylon hariba mafam ase yamna chawkhatkiba yamna fajakiba yamna miyoibagi greatness miyoibana honari kai ngami haibado adugumba utkiba yamna thainagi matamda leramba aduguma city makal amane man made ngatane mafam asida lerami base ahanba engineer ahanba mathematician aduni akoi miyoiba sungairi hotpu honaragadi honaring kai adum phangi honaba lepa kansidani akoina phangoi dorise. So whatever it is amabu oigera akoi honabadi lepa yade ngasi mai paktragasu hayeng mai pakpe yai hayeng mai paktragasu hangsit mai pakpe yai koi ninghannabi yade ninghannadabida akoi su hotnase Babylon da leirambiba misaksing sina ninghannaba leitana moigi mafamda nong ningtina taba nate arid land ne haibadi pungkang kangba mafam ne adubu moina by any means irrigation system ama pusala kansida mafamda pungsang sangangiba adumaina tawkiba mafam amane. So akoi Manipur gidi loktak pat ami chawchawna leiri turel mayam cheli irrigation system je fajana sembi taragadi that is up to whom adudi ai khangjadre kanana semgadabano karamaina tawgadabano loinama pungsang sangba yaba mafam ngaktane akoi Manipur gi lau tharani lau panma lorani labuk mayam jingje loina isong songjalaga loin leirani. So kai haidono khangri hinjang mana masing matam gi loina rotation chatpa yabane crop rotation but koi gi irrigation system ithei lakong gi system je wat pana. So kari lake haibado akon bada koi punamu yemina tabane ngasi gi oinadi Danareta mangang saka malengan bahis namna mayam go amuka nei kong nona kurum jabaga loinana kaina nabagi yathang nijari aina ijariba aina pathok jariba aina paminajariba si ai yam hai haiduna tawjaba nate soikiba lankiba yautaraga sumayamna ngakpiyo aduga remark ama su pibiramo masina kayam kanariba kanadaba kayam buk chatpa yagadaba yadroidaba haibadu mayam puna kaminase. Thank you all. Have a good night.